Welcome back to the Between Breaths podcast. I'm Jacko, Master Instructor and Mentor with the Oxygen Advantage, S&C Coach and Breath Training Coach for elite and professional athletes, and a budding ultra endurance running enthusiast and believer in being able to surpass our current capabilities, or what we think we're capable of. And I'm in a very excitable yet nervous mood, and sometimes excitement and anxiety can be very close cousins of each other or feel very similar. That's because we are talking today in this podcast about the challenge of being able to train, or not being able to train. We're going to talk about the training for being able to run 2 marathons a day. That's right. One in the morning, one in the afternoon/evening, depending on how long they take, but running 2 marathons a day for multiple days. How many days? We'll come to that, but for multiple days. And in this podcast, we're going to be looking at, or I'll be sharing, how have I been building up the training in order to be able to do that. There is no textbook out there that goes, oh, here's your training plan for how to train for being able to do 2 marathons a day for X number of days. It just doesn't exist. You can try and ask ChatGPT, but I'm telling you, it's a waste of time because there is no textbook for it. It's one of the things that I love about doing these types of endurance challenges with the running is you got to work it out for yourself. You got to find what is a process that you can believe in, that you can trust and you can follow, and what you're going to learn along that way, and then what can you apply to your next challenge. And one of the things I actually really love about these things is the challenge of the running endurance event is more I don't know if metaphor is the right word, but what you learn along going through that process to overcome that particular running challenge, how can you apply that to other, or I would say real challenges that are going to come at us in life. So I'm going to share a few of those insights. One thing to mention is that I will be running all of those marathons in Vivo barefoot shoes, which blows some people's minds. And actually, to be fair, about 5 or 6 years ago, when I first put on a pair of Vivos, that would have also blown my mind. I have currently been running in a prototype. Those watching on YouTube are going to see it's a prototype. This was one that I was testing out for them. You can see some of the scuffs and marks, but these bad boys, not looking too shabby for having a bit worn on the bottom, etc., but having run over 1,500 kilometers in these puppies as I was training for the 100k Ultra Trail Snowdonia, the UTMB World Series event, where I came 99th male. So they were used for the training of that and the race itself. The Primus Trail Flow is what they're called, and hands down, this prototype, not even the real thing, this prototype was and is my hands down favorite and best, most comfortable trail running shoe that I've ever worn. And it was until I got my hands on the actual one. Look, there you go. So those looking on video, this is not a prototype, this is the actual one. I've been out and run, I think I've run a marathon in these this week actually, so I've run about 80k or something like that in these. So they look pretty brand new. Big thank you to Vivo because they are supporting the event that this is all building up towards next year, called Mission In-possible. Not impossible, in-possible, because I'm interested in what is possible, not what's not possible. And so they are sponsoring the podcast. We have a brand new upgraded discount code for you. Discount code Jacko 20, yes, Jacko 20, have a guess. That gets you 20% off any of the Vivo Barefoot shoes. So if you head over to vivobarefoot.com, if you want these sexy lavender, they do them in black and they do them in a similar colour to the prototype. I really love the sexy lavender. If you want, these are the Primus Flow Trail. Best trail running shoe I've ran in, hands down. So Jacko 20 gets you 20% off those. And whilst we're here thanking sponsors, two other sponsors that are helping with the Mission Impossible, of which we'll talk about a recce for a week that's coming up in just a couple of weeks, and the full event next year. One is my friends at Red Light Rising. Red light therapy is a recovery product that I've been using for pre-COVID. So you're talking 5 years or more. I do my down regulation, humming, breathing whilst in front of my red light before I go to bed each night. They provided me with some these really cool, they're battery powered, so portable wraps that you can just put around any body part. Charge them up with USB. They're going in the camper van on the road with us as we go and take on these challenges. The lovely people there at Red Light Rising with code Jacko, so there's no number on this one. So redlightrising.co.uk. If you go to, there'll be a link in the show notes for all these, but Jacko, code Jacko gives you 15% off any Red Light Rising products. And then the final sponsor to thank is one that is fueling me with organic real food, but in a pouch, like sports nutrition endurance fuel product. It's called Enduro Sport. All organic ingredients, nothing processed, all real food. Again, that is something that fueled me for the Snowdon 24 event last year, for the UTS 100 kilometer this year, a product I've been using for about 18 months, and one that I love and believe in so much. There's nothing else like it on the market. I've never done this before. I've actually myself invested in the company. You can get 15% off Enduro Sports with code Jacko15, and I'll put the links in the show notes for all of these. Now, a good question you'll probably be asking is, hold on a minute, I don't know if I've missed it, like what is the challenge? You're doing something about 2 marathons a day, like something seems to be coming up sooner, is there, or what's happening later? So here's the deal. 2026, so next year, the same year, my book with Bloomsbury comes out. That's going to be out in March. Ooh. I've got the exact date, but I'm going to just keep the cards close to my chest. But that's out in March 2026. Later that year, starting in May, plan currently is to start on my birthday, May 28th. You can send the birthday presents whenever you want. Anyway, 28th of May, I am setting off. Not going to tell you where from yet, can't. But setting off on a challenge, running 2 marathons a day for a lot of days. I can't yet tell you exactly how many days, but you're going to find out before the thing starts for sure. Now, what we're currently building for and training for is a recce week. We're going to be running 2 marathons a day for a week starting on the 1st of September. So Monday the 1st of September, it's actually going to be 11 marathons in total, 288 odd miles, something like 13,600 meters of elevation or something like that. 1.5 times going up Everest is the equivalent. That's going to be done on the west coast of Wales Path, starting in the south at the St David's Head and coming all the way up to the top and finishing at Caernarfon Castle. If we do manage to do our average of 2 marathons a day, we're actually going to get there in slightly less than a week. We're going to get there on Saturday, the 6th of September. Exactly what time, I don't know. I'm going to suggest probably pretty late, hopefully before midnight, but we will see. I am currently, as I said at the start of the podcast, excited, but getting to the point where As I record this podcast now, it'll be 2 weeks on Monday that I'm going to set off. And you start to worry and question yourself. The self-doubt kicks in, and the question of like, have I done enough training yet for this or not? We will see. But 2 marathons a day for a week, or just less than a week, for 6 days, taking us up the whole west coast of Wales. We're calling it Mission Wales or Mission Cymru, and it's Recon In-possible, because it is just the recon, just the practice run for what's going to happen May 2026. So what I wanted to do is share a little bit about how I approached training for that, and the process that I've been going through, because I think some of you hopefully will be interested. But equally, I think that I want to share what I've been learning along the way with that. So one question that someone asked me recently about this: normally people go, "You're going to run 2 marathons a day? That sounds freaking crazy. Like, how long are you doing it for? Blah blah." Someone asked a good question. They went, "Why are you doing that? Just like, why would you do that?" So, like, I talked about, I love being able to try to, in a physical way, prove to myself a belief that I have, or a theory, or just something that's always been there as long as I can remember. This inner sort of thought that we're far more capable than we allow ourselves to believe, and that it's, say that again, far more capable than we allow ourselves to believe. And that allow ourselves to believe is a really important part for me. I feel like there's always been a self-limiting, like, handbrake that we can let go of. I believe regulating our nervous system is a huge part of being able to take that handbrake off and access that capability, which I'll talk about. But being able to do a physical endeavor to prove that to myself, and within that, like, all of the struggles and challenges that you overcome during that type of physical running endeavor, what can I learn that I can then apply to like challenges in all of our lives. And part of the journey for me has been, after my traumatic brain injury in 2013, which ended my rugby career. I had a seizure on the field, a small bleed on the brain, and had to retire from rugby. I went through a long, dark, challenging recovery period, and I certainly, the first 6 months of that were the worst, and then it gradually got a little better. And eventually, after about a year, I was able to get back to being able to do some running, but I found it very difficult and not at all enjoyable. So it's been a long road from then to now, over the last 12 years. But something I didn't know about and have access to, but I didn't have access to, I didn't access it because I didn't know about it, was some charities that help people with brain injuries and their families that are also affected. So there's 2 brain injury charities: Headway UK, which helps everyone that's anybody, everyone and anyone that has sustained a brain injury and their families. And then Head for Change is a brain injury charity that is specifically for people having sustained brain injuries from sports and professional sports, to help professional sports men and women. So they're 2 charities that I am going to be raising all of the money for, and any of your support within this will be very helpful. There'll be a Just Giving page being created for the event, ready for the 1st of September, and then obviously for the big one next year that you don't fully know what is like about that. But hold on to your pants, because when you find out exactly what that is, you're going to go freaking bonkers. So that's why we're doing it. How do we train for it, or what's that process like? As I said, there's no textbook, so you got to work it out. I personally love the challenge of that. No one can tell me what I'm doing with my training is wrong, but neither can they tell me that it's necessarily right. What ultimately dictates that in the end is like how you perform when you go and do it. So, I'm sure I'm going to get things wrong in the build up to this recon week in September, but what I learn through that process will help me for next time, next year. So it's always like an ongoing organic process. But at the same time, the problem solving element to working it out for yourself is something that I, as an S&C coach, strength and conditioning coach, have always loved doing. I think there's an analytical sort of engineering mindset. I don't know many people know this, but I got a first-class degree in engineering from Loughborough University. Guilty. Don't ask me any engineering questions because I wouldn't remember anything I did back at uni. But anyway, I certainly do like sort of problem solving, and that sort of mindset sits well with me. I don't know that many people will necessarily know this. Maybe sometimes I bang on about it, but not very regularly. But like, I've been a strength and conditioning coach for that was what I retrained in back in 2014 once I started to recover from that brain injury, and worked with initially Paralympic athletes. Worked with athletes before the Paralympics in Rio 2016 and before Tokyo 2020. And one of the things that teaches you as an S&C coach, where you're trying to work on the strength and conditioning of the athletes, is you have to be able to problem solve and you have to be able to think outside the box, because there isn't a textbook that says, okay, when an athlete has got this impairment or that impairment or whatever the impairment is that there's classifying the athlete as a Paralympian, you've got to adapt the training environment to meet their needs. And that involves an awful lot of problem solving, because no athlete is the same. And you've got to work with the athlete and you've got to work it out together. I love that. It helps create really great relationships. Plus, it's always interesting. Like, you're not just doing something straight out of the textbook. You've got to adapt it. So I do think that's something I'm drawing upon at the moment when I'm taking on these types of running challenges, where you got to work it out yourself. And one of the things that's a real kingpin for me now, because I've got this wrong before, is I feel like you need to do at least half of what you're trying to achieve. So I got it wrong big time at the first multi-day event I did, Ring of Fire, back 3 years ago, so back in 2022. There's a really good YouTube video, documentary, half an hour, best half an hour you'll spend on YouTube watching that little documentary. You'll see Mrs. Jacko dragging me around the Ring of Fire, which is like running around the whole of the island of Anglesey in North Wales. I didn't do enough training, and I found that out on day 2. And it just got progressively worse on day 3. But out of nowhere, I did manage to complete that, when at least something like 50% of people DNF on those types of multi-day events, just because of the brutal nature of them. I got through on the skin of my teeth, and I learned a lot. And one of the things was I'd not done enough. So since then, this is something that stuck with me. If I've taught my body and mind, mainly body, the mind is going to come later, of what it feels like to do half of the thing. If I know I can do half, it sounds silly, but it's what makes sense to me. I've only got to go and do that again. And I've already done that. I've already done a half, so I know what a half feels like, so I can then go and do the thing. So whether you believe with me or not, that is something that is working for me. So I'm trying to run 2 marathons a day for the Recon week in September, Mission Wales, Recon IN-possible, 1st to the 6th of September. I've got to run 2 marathons a day. So what does half of that look like in training? It looks like being able to do a half marathon in the morning and a half marathon in the afternoon or evening, and being able to do that for multiple days. I feel like at the moment, this is why I'm getting a little bit nervous, like I don't feel like I've done quite enough of like doing that multiple times. There is then a tricky balance of like just overtraining and just doing too much. So trying to find that line and what that line is difficult, and I feel like I'm maybe slightly undercooked at the moment, potentially, but I am hoping at least going into the event as close to niggle free as possible and as healthy as possible is going to be beneficial. So listening to the body and the little creaks and cranks and aches and pains at the moment to try and be sensible. But for example, this last week I did half marathon on, what day would it have been? On Wednesday morning, half marathon on Wednesday afternoon, then I did a half marathon on Thursday morning, and I was going to do a half marathon on Thursday afternoon, but ended up just doing one half of that, just doing one 10k, because I was just listening to the body. I'd ran Tuesday, I'd done a decent week all the week before, like it wasn't going into that fresh. So that's been a process for me. The most significant thing that I think is going to be beneficial for you to be able to take away is the notion of chunking. Anyone that's been following on Instagram will see me talking about like 10k chunks. Huge believer in, or just not even believer, just more than that. It's like I've done it and felt it, of chunking down challenges, having a plan with how many chunks I'm going to do, but chunking down those challenges. And so for me, I've currently built up to being able to do like doing 10k feels easy. You go and tell me, go and do 10k, I have no problem, whatever. I can do a 10k in about an hour. I can do it plenty quicker now, but about an hour. But like about an hour is like very easy, very comfortable. Any time of day, you want me to go run 10k like that, boom, easy. So that's my chunk. That's my easy thing. That's my like, okay, if you go to me, Jacko, you got to run 10k. I go, sweet, I can do that. Now, if you tell me, a marathon is 42k, let's just round it. I'm rounding it down, which might be dangerous, but it's 40k or 4 chunks. Yeah. Your 2 marathons a day is then 8 chunks, but remember we're splitting it in half, so it's like 4 chunks in the morning, 4 chunks in the afternoon. You can't run your afternoon chunks before you've done your morning chunks. If I'm going to do 4 chunks in the morning, I can't run the 4th one before I've done 1, 2, 3, and I can't do 3 before I've done 1 and 2. So essentially you can only do the chunk that you're currently on. It brings a level of focus, it brings a level of presence to what you're doing. Now, I'm so strict on that myself. Like when I ran a half marathon on Wednesday morning or Thursday morning, Thursday morning, I did it as a commute. I dropped the camper van for a service up down in Bangor. It was, it's a half marathon to run back. So basically like 20k or just over 20k. And I just broke it down into 2 10ks. Now, I didn't stop and have a rest and have a drink and do all this stuff. I took all my stuff with me in my little pack. But what I did was, and this is what I do all the time, I've got a new Chorus watch. These are I've had this now for, how long have I had it? Maybe about a month. I've only charged it up twice, and it's still at 46% now. The battery life is phenomenal. It's amazing. It's been really good for more data for my recovery, for tracking progress and training load, and HRV. So big thank you to Coros. Really, really enjoying the watch for that. So something that I'm big on is I will stop it after 10k, upload it to Strava, boom, it's gone. That's happened. What am I doing now? I'm doing another 10k. So I then set up, I've stopped for 2 seconds, where it is to stop my watch, and then get going again. And so I've got my half marathon. I didn't run a half marathon. I ran 2 10ks. And when I was in my second 10k, I looked down at my watch. It says you've run 2k, and I'm like, okay, I've run 2k. Well, I've actually run 12, but when I look and watch, it's telling me I've run 2k. Okay, I've run 2k, and I got to do 10k. Am I happy doing 10k? Yeah, I'm happy doing 10k. So I've got 8 to go. It will sound to some of you be like, it sounds like a load of rubbish and garbage, but it is tangible. It is significant, the difference that makes to your mindset. And if I think about running if I think about running 2 marathons a day for an entire week or for 6 days in a row up the west coast of Wales, starting 1st September, if I think about that, that scares the living daylights out of me. Like, that is spicy. Like that is tough because I'm thinking about the whole thing. If I break it down into days and go, okay, 2 marathons a day, it like feels a little bit more comfortable. I'm like 2 marathons, like that's pretty difficult. Some of the elevation is insane. 13,000 plus meters across those 6 days. And they're not flat, they're not easy marathons. So running two a day feels like, oh God, I feel a bit overwhelmed by thinking about that. But breaking each marathon down into four 10K chunks and then going, well, you just got to run 10K. Do I feel like I can run 10K? Yeah, even if I'm fripping tired, if you said to me like, you're absolutely knackered, I'm absolutely done, can you run 10K? It's like, I know I can run 10K and I just got to do that one. And then sometimes when I run 10K, I'm going to be allowed to have a break and go to bed because it's going to be the last one of the day. Other times it's like, you got to do another one before lunchtime. But you've just got to do that 10K. And that's the thing that I've found super helpful for dealing with things in my normal sort of everyday, or let's call it real life or day-to-day life. When I feel overwhelmed by some sort of challenge, problem, whether it's business, whether it's friendships, whether it's relationships, whatever they think, if I feel overwhelmed by a situation that I just can't, when I look at it, the entirety of it, it just feels like too much. I can't find a way through or work through it. And it puts us in that like freeze, like stress state. Stop, calm breathing. When you calm your breathing, calm your nervous system. So stop, calm the breathing. Get back to nasal if you weren't. And then spend some time mapping it out, planning it out, making a plan, breaking it down into manageable chunks and going, right, rather than trying to look at the entirety of this thing, I'm just going to start with the simplest thing I can do to get started, the 10K that feels easy. Start with that chunk, just do that. And then once we've done that, then we can look at doing the next one. Don't worry about the entirety of it. That might sound a little cliche. It might seem a little bit too simple, but that has been life-changing for me. Totally life-changing, as well as transformative for my running. So do half of what you need to do in training and break it down into manageable chunks. Chunks that feel like you go, oh yeah, easy, I do that. Yeah, so whether that's like break it down to 1K chunks, I don't know, whatever it needs to be for you. But that is my philosophy. That is something that I've experienced and I believe in, and that is the thing I am trusting and putting my focus into for the Mission Wales or Mission Cymru, for the Recon In-possible, 1st of September, starting down in the south at St David's Head and running all the way up to the west coast to Caernarfon, hopefully getting there sometime on Saturday, the 6th of September. That's only a couple of weeks away, depending on when I manage to get this podcast out, maybe a week away. If you live anywhere nearby or you fancy traveling and fancy coming and doing a little bit or just showing some level of support somehow, I would love to hear from you and love to see you there. If you're on Instagram, drop me a message, the Breath Running Coach on Instagram. So if you follow me for Instagram a while, you'll notice the name has changed. So it's not jacko.david.jackson anymore. It's the Breath Running Coach. But I think if you search Jacko, I think you'll still find me. But yeah, drop us a message on Instagram. Final thing I wanted to say was, like I said at the start, that the being able to like stay calm and like stay present and focused on those chunks and the current one you're on, rather than worrying about what's to come and the entirety of the whole thing, is having a well-regulated nervous system. And one of the things with exercise, particularly with running, is the importance of the speed of your breathing. It's been shown in research recently. I can't remember off the top of my head the studies, but there were some review papers done in I think 2022 or 2023, where they showed that our perception of effort when exercising or when running is more closely linked with your breathing rate than your heart rate measured with a heart rate monitor, or your blood lactate levels measured in a lab when they're taking lactate samples from your blood. I'll say that again. Breathing rate is more closely associated with perception of effort, meaning that the faster you're breathing, the less in control of your breathing you are, the less in control you feel, the more the harder you feel like you're working. Your perception of effort is higher when you're breathing faster. So being able to calm and regulate and control your breathing is going to change your perception of effort and help to regulate the nervous system. When my breathing is calm, my nervous system is calm. If I can stay regulated, I can think clearly, I can think rationally, and my ability to stay focused on the plan and the current chunk that I'm on rather than what's happening later is going to be easier. Nasal breathing obviously helps with that because the effect that nasal breathing has on slowing down our breathing, calming the nervous system, the feedback loop to the brain that nasal breathing is going to provide compared to the stress sort of response feedback loop that the mouth breathing sends back to the brain. So keeping it nasal and being in control of that all important breathing rate is something that I will be squeezing every little last drop out of come the Recon IN-possible on the 1st to 6th of September. Final sort of thing breathing related for that would be like the down regulation. So staying regulated during running, but then post training. It's where things like, I'm a big fan, I always said at the start about the red light therapy. So we've got these portable strap units that you can put onto any body part or just lie down and lie on them, that are battery powered by USB, so I can put them in the camper van, I can take them on the road. I'll do my down regulation, like humming, exhalation, breathing, whilst utilizing the red light therapy from Red Light Rising, and that is a go-to for me with recovery. So you don't have to have the products. Like the most important thing for me is like the down regulation breathing, the humming, completely free, completely easy to do. But lots of people have got certain things they like to do for recovery, ice bath, sauna, like the red light therapy, whatever it is. Be always breathing when you're doing those things. So there's always an encouragement from me to stack or integrate in your down regulation breathing with that. One of the keys for the down regulation is innervating the vagus nerve, extending your exhale, and the humming is a perfect thing for that. So get humming before you go to bed once you're trying to recover from your day's work or training. So yeah, that's my approach. That's my philosophy. Oh, actually, final thing, strength work. Big fan of strength work. Always loved strength and power work from back when I played rugby. I've dialed down my strength work these days to be very specific to running. So strength for running, essentially. Utilizing strength work to build resilience around the hips, the knees, the calves, ankles, Achilles, and to help with like actual power of production and running force. So I'm not lifting like heavy stuff, but I'm doing stuff that's going to build specific strength, power, speed, and important resilience for running. Because the thing with these types of events are, there's lots of things that are going to be challenging. But if you get injured, it's any sort of proper injury, it's over. So staying injury free and healthy is one of the most important things. So with that said, I would encourage you to think about where might having a plan and breaking that plan down into manageable chunks help you in any challenges that you may face, whether it's training or whether it's in life, that feel overwhelming, and how you can maybe apply hopefully that simple principle to one of those challenges in our training or in our life. And I genuinely have found it transformative and life-changing for me. I hope that it can help you too. And then encouragement, if you are around or want to come and support, drop us a message on Instagram, The Breath Running Coach. 1st of September, starting southwest corner of Wales, St David's Head, and heading up to Caernarfon Castle to finish on the 6th of September, all the way up that west coast. There will be a tracking link and page and everything for you to be able to follow, but that's not live yet. But when that is, that will be on Instagram. So make sure you check out Instagram for updates on that, of where we're getting to each day, etc., etc. If you drop me a message and you've got an idea of like when you want to come, then we can maybe try to organise something. And certainly, if there's people that can come around for maybe the last 5 or 10k and maybe do the last chunk into Caernarfon Castle, I promise you it'll be a very, very slow, manageable pace by that point. So I'd love to see some of you there if you can make it, and we'll have a nice pizza from Tarn if we get back in time. That'll get me back in time. If you go, right, Jacko, we're gonna have pizza as long as you get back before the lovely pizza place at Tarn closes on Saturday night. I will be there on time. Don't you worry about that, sunshine. I'll have a Joey special. That's right, 2 pizzas. Okay, thank you all for your support. I'm going to sign off now. You've been breathing. I've been Jacko. Till next time, keep it nasal when you can.